I was going to talk about open grants. So,
Yeah, what's up, Afo?
What up, what up? How you
And
doing?
Paul and everyone else. Yeah, good to be here. So I really wanted my technical lead, Rashmi, to be here, but she's on leave today. So you're going to get me instead. But I'm going to be presenting about open grants, and I prepared. I think, my purpose here, because open grants is, at least compared to these other projects that were just showcased, it's very new. And I want to provide like some context for you, as well as like what we're looking and hoping to build moving forward. So I prepared a little bit of a slideshow, nothing too serious. I'll leave it on this view because I have other screens I want to show you as well. But yeah, just beginning with open grants, the overview. What we're really building here is an open source ecosystem-wide intelligence layer for Web3 grants and funding. And this is a way to aggregate funding information, enable tooling, reporting, and impact analyses that support better decisions and facilitate iterative experimentation that helps grow and improve our capital allocation practices in Web3. A brief just mention about DAOstar. So Open Grants is a project by DAOstar. And also to briefly introduce myself, yeah, I'm Sam. I don't want to pull in AFO real quick, but I'm the ecosystem lead at DAOstar, focused on ensuring the long-term success of the DAO ecosystem by building public infrastructure and supporting collaborative research. I lead the growth and adoption of open grants, working with grant program managers and builders to solve the challenges that we all experience during funding cycles. DAOstar, we build towards a future that sees DAOs becoming the standard for digital organizations. But to get there, we believe that standardization and interoperability are necessary to support a variety of use cases, which I think really aligns us with this round. So this started, we built something. We have DAO IPs, or these metadata standards that help structure the way that DAOs and other on-chain entities can publish and share information about themselves. There was DAO IP2, which was the first one that gained major adoption, which is a standard DAO URI, similar to a token URI in the ERC 721, and this helped enhance DAO discoverability, legibility, and interoperability. Next came DAO IP5, and so this is kind of what Open Grants is built upon. This is an open metadata schema for Web3 grants. Over the past several years, we've really seen grant programs that are run by protocols, projects, and foundations really explode in size and popularity. And DAO IP5 was created to address many of the challenges that the Web3 funding ecosystem now faces, which include a lack of interoperability among tooling and programs, limited data availability, transparency issues, as well as program-specific problems such as grant farming and grant cycle inefficiencies. We believe that open, verifiable data can be Web3's competitive advantage here. However, current grant information is siloed, which limits, funding cycle efficiency, high context deliberation, platform interoperability, and sort of this collaborative learning that we need. So yeah, DAO IP5 here, it was built to support ecosystem-wide infrastructure that aggregates information about grant programs and grantees, enables tooling, reporting, and impact analyses that support better decisions, and facilitates iterative experimentation. It's basically an off-chain schema that structures grant data that are generated by funding rounds within Grant3 or Web3 grant programs. And this includes, various data components. The grant system, grant pool, projects and applications form kind of like these very like low level data fields. And I'm just going to go over here, show you the specification of this is the, our GitHub repo here. And you have kind of like a good overview of both the motivation and specification of DAO IP5. I'm not going to spend so much time on here because I want to move forward to essentially the second aspect of DAO IP5, which is the data lake that we built and is hosted by OSO. Yes, I will definitely drop these links. I have many more links for you. Don't worry. They will all be dropped in the chat and maybe shared with you async after the call as well. So this data lake that we built with Open Source Observer, our friends at OSO, I'm going to head over to the repo here. Essentially the OSS funding repo. This is our data lake. If you navigate over here, you can see the DAO IP5 folder, which is all of the grant and funding round data that complies with the core specifications of DAO IP5. This is most important for the programs that want to translate and integrate their data with us. However, I think what would be a little bit more important for maybe this audience, so all the data is in JSON. You can navigate over here to where we have essentially the data that we've aggregated. So for instance, if you navigate to Arbitrum, you can see the STIP program and the data that has been structured according to the DAO IP5 schema. So this is where you would go if you want to, kind of explore the data that we have aggregated so far in this data lake. Sorry, just going to navigate back to the presentation. Yeah, so those are the two components of DAO IP5. Now, moving that forward to today, Open Grants, we build on top of this open data infrastructure that is DAO IP5 and the data lake to build a couple of tooling or a couple of tools that we just recently released. One of this is a gateway API, which allows very seamless access to the data that's aggregated within the data lake, as well as a funding dashboard MVP, which I want to emphasize it's an MVP, but it's essentially a way that we want to display this data and promote transparency and accountability for the various funding rounds, as well as the projects that are receiving this funding. So switching the view, I can show real quickly the API page first, which is here. So this page, you'll see it's kind of got some pretty quick start information. There's three ways we integrate data into Open Grants. The type 1 describes the API integration, which actually provides real-time funding data, and we're getting this so far from Octane and Giveth. Type 2, it ingests actually more static data types. So this would be like CSV or JSON, and the data liveness kind of depends upon that reporting frequency of those specific grant programs. So this is Stellar, Optimism, Cello, those programs there. And then we also have an endpoint integration that we check on a periodic basis in Questbook. That's our type 3 integration. I already mentioned our partnership with OSO, but we are also integrating project URI, or sorry, not URIs, but URIs from Karma Gap to present kind of a consistent ID throughout the Open Grants and Karma ecosystems. So that's the API, and then just really quickly the funding dashboard, which this really just kind of launched. We have this ecosystem overview of all the active systems, which are currently only 4 that we have in here, where you can see some really quick ecosystem-wide funding data. Here we've got the different systems that are currently in here. You can navigate to the grant systems tab. It might take a second to load, so I apologize for any of this technical difficulties. This is the first time I'm showing this off. But basically, this has an index of all the grant systems that we currently have in here. I was hoping to show you, yep, perfect. I want to show you the Stellar one. This is by far the most robust. I know it's not Ethereum, so maybe we keep this quiet from the GG round operators. But basically, we truly want Open Grants to be across the entire Web3 ecosystem. It really is meant to be like a public, open, public good, open source database. And so here you have like, funding distributions by round, applications awarded, funds distributed. We're really working to iterate on the different kinds of data points and analytics that we can incorporate here. And I think most importantly, we have every single grant round of Stellar indexed here, and you can go into it to see every single project that has been funded, links to the websites, things like that. So, this is kind of our first attempt at building, something that really showcases the value of, building on top of this open data infrastructure that, used to be known as DAO IP5. I'm already over 10 minutes. I went through this.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to leave it there. I did want to just get to, this was my last slide anyway. It's kind of like a thought starter on what else we can build on top of this data. I'll let you kind of just peruse that, but I'll leave that there so I can answer questions before my time is actually up.
Well, I think actually, just read out this and because I think it's good to give some context to some of these, so you can see some measures.
Yeah, that's perfect. Yeah, so what we're kind of hoping to build or partner with people to help us build. First here is ecosystem benchmarks and frameworks. We really believe that holding. This process of standardization really helps facilitate ecosystem-wide accountability. And as part of this is really growing into and learning, collaboratively learning about what frameworks really help us make the best decisions. So basing this upon actual grant round data and funding experience rather than just relying on heuristics or anecdotal data. We have analytics dashboards, which I kind of just led you through our MVP, really built for public display, transparency, accountability. If you want the metaphor, kind of building the L2 beat for capital allocation could be, something along those lines. We could build, actually portable grantee reputations. The data that we collect from grantees through both the application and subsequent reporting processes can be seamlessly shared across programs and platforms integrated with Open Grants, which would create, more robust, more portable histories of grantee funding and performance. Just running through the rest of these automated application reviews, we can provide, red flags or filters based on, potentially high quality or high risk projects on previously collected and actually reported data. AI agent impact evaluations also once again trained on this kind of ecosystem-wide data. And lastly, this is kind of an interesting idea: curated funding registries that can be actually based on the funding and performance data that allows funders to kind of sort through and filter more easily, as well as discover and then allocate capital to projects that they're aligned with and are actually driving real impact across the ecosystem. I hope that kind of gives you a little bit better of an idea of where we're hoping to head, the direction, the future of Web3 capital allocation.
Thanks, Sam. Great presentation. Appreciate that. And I think this is a great segue to the next